Been doing a lot of introspection the past couple days, and WoWClassic has been a lot of fun in bringing friends back together. The problem is the queues have disbanded a lot of our ability to stay together as a group of friends. Some of us are better at having self-control in playing World of Warcraft, and some are not. But the main thing is we're trying to play together and kind of relive that fun experience. And it has been fun when we can get in the server. I wrote a little something to the officers in my guild, which are pretty much all real life friends. So there's more of a connection, definitely, when we're talking about this topic, because it's not just, people you've never met on the internet. So I wrote a little something, and I just wanted to kind of put it in video form so it's a little bit easier to digest. We're going to be making a decision here soon because the free character transfers, as we know it right now, they close on Monday, September 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific. So we don't have that much time to come to a decision here, but that's essentially where I'm trying to get at, to do the right thing with the information that we have available to us now, which is definitely lacking, and I'll get into that. So here it is. I was doing some introspection regarding WoWClassic and life in general with where I've been and where I am now. I just had a birthday that put me into another decade, so naturally some of these thoughts became a little bit more heavy to my heart. Since WoWClassic launched, I admit I've been severely disappointed in the way that Blizzard launched this product. I've gone on rants about how they could have done this and that, and especially knowing the technology that is available to them to handle the type of traffic they incurred. However, I don't know all the internal details. There definitely could have been scenarios where they were unable to utilize some of the new technology capabilities of 2019 because of the fact that they were implementing a code base largely from 2004-2006 timeframe. They have been open about also needing to remove some of this newer technology, the layering, to return back to the most authentic form of WoWClassic, namely for things like world bosses, because what it's doing is it's separating the world. So you have X amount of copies of the same world, where if you start a boss battle, if you're not grouped up in a raid or, on that layer, you might not see that world event happen. The future plans to remove this, and that's one of the things that's also keeping these servers stable with the amount of traffic that's going on. So we got to understand layering is helping keep the thing stable by kind of load balancing all the people going onto it. Then in addition to that, they're queuing people. The really interesting part about this is the servers are capable of holding so many more people that we're seeing unprecedented levels of traffic on these servers right now compared to what we saw in Classic. So Blizzard's even mentioned this. A low population server, as it's figured out now, is more people on that server than a full or high population server from back then in 2004-2006. So that's definitely concerning that they're considering getting rid of that. So in addition to that, with the long queue times that are rarely out of the thousands when work is over, it's disrupting and inconvenient, especially for a game that you're paying $15 a month for. The majority of us that are playing, especially in my area, we don't play retail. We just don't. So we are paying $15 a month for Classic right now. I've become increasingly concerned with the removal of layering, as I mentioned, because it is their only load balancing capability right now, as far as I'm aware. Whilst the server technology is more powerful and can handle that insane amount of traffic, I'm concerned that without this load balancing technology, it's going to bring the servers to their knees. As I mentioned as well, they have mentioned that low capacity is beyond the number from a full server back in the day. But my concerns are based on the fact that there has been seemingly gross negligence from Blizzard's side in preparing for this launch, and then their seemingly haphazard response of not implementing any solutions that actually fix the root cause of the problem, which is overpopulation. They've lost my faith and confidence in their disaster response solutions, and their communications thus far have not increased my confidence and really left me feeling more confused and in the dark about what decision should we make. The launch queues are what thrusts upon me this question of moving to a lower population server where there is currently no queue. This is from Whitemane to Arcanite Reaper. Brings back the question of, why am I playing WoW Classic? Some of the answers are simple, some of them are more complex. Some of them are deep-seated reasons, as silly as that sounds for, a game, that are just part of who I am as a person. So I implore the categories of reasons why here, because I'm going to attempt to list in order the importance of the reasons why I'm playing Classic. So number one, playing with friends. That's honestly the only reason to a certain degree. And then every other reason beyond that is just because I'm coming up with more reasons. I don't know. Reason two, WoW nostalgia. So I would have been, I think we were freshman, sophomore in high school when we started playing WoW. And we weren't, at least an advanced computer user then. Now I program and I do all sorts of stuff with computers. We've been playing WoW for 15 years on and off. We're much more savvy about the game. The game has been documented so immensely. There's so many stats and things to help you get through things now. But going back and playing that is a lot of fun. To have camaraderie again, to not have instant queues, to have things that happen that actually mean something. Reason three, escape from real life. Let's be honest, one of the reasons why you would go play in a virtual game that you have to grind hours and hours to play with just because that's the mechanic of the game. You don't get anything in real life really other than the intrinsic value of enjoying your time, letting off steam, forgetting about all your worries and troubles, at least for a little bit, letting your brain reset and focus on something that you're having fun with. My main reason for playing any sort of video game is because it's fun to play games with friends. I live an extremely busy life, and I don't really have time or patience to play single-player games anymore. There's more deep-seated reasonings to this as well, but I'm not trying to sound too emo, so we're going to move on from that one. The main reason is to play with friends. Queue time severely inhibits this. You might say, just queue a few hours before you can actually play. This is a cop-out. That's not a solution to the problem. It's a cop-out and a band-aid. What I've found since the launch of WoW Classic is that I've personally neglected a lot of things that I should be doing for my health. This, of course, is a self-control problem to a certain degree, but it's a problem nonetheless because I want to play games with my friends, because playing games with my friends is beneficial to my health to a certain degree, particularly my mental health. This is a way that I balance. I'm fortunate enough that I get to work from home the majority of the time, and I've been able to queue, and I already had TeamViewer from me running my side business in order to keep from going AFK or queue up when I'm, not in front of my computer. But here's a problem with that. It isn't healthy, and it is absolutely absurd that you have to do that for a game that you pay monthly for. And at the end of the day, WoW is a game. WoW should never supersede real life. Ever. No questions asked. Even if your professional job is to play WoW and you get paid doing it, if your health is ever a problem, your relationships with your family is ever being compromised by this, you got to find a solution. Because at the end of the day, it's a game. And that goes honestly for any work. If your work is ruining your life, you got to fix it. I am lumping in the fact that you shouldn't have to think about WoW outside of the time that you can actually play. There's of course going to be like, I really enjoyed my time last night. I got all this great gear, or, I got this quest. I'm going to get on to get this stuff. I got this plan, this game plan, thinking about WoW, whatever. But to be stressing out about being able to log in time to try and get your guesstimate appropriate on, well, I know I can play at 8 p.m. tonight, so I need to queue around 5 p.m. So that means I need to make sure wherever I am that I get in queue, that I monitor the queue, that I check it, that I put timers on my watch, that I make sure that once I get in and I have my AFK timers so I'm jumping, if I'm not back to my computer in time. Ridiculous. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't have to do that. A game we play for, we should just be able to play the game. The game itself is designed to be addicting and suck hours of your life, to give you virtual goodies that will never give you any tangible real life benefit. The fact that I am concerned about entering the queue at just that right time while I'm out at the park or a family gathering or wherever to queue that just right is absolutely ludicrous. In addition, once you're in, then you have to worry about staying in, even though you might just be planning on making lunch or getting dinner. I created an AFK macro. I had people using oscillating fans with a little pen to hit their spacebar, just so that they could go make lunch or go get dinner. One time it didn't work properly, so I ended up in another 7,000 person queue just because I took 20-30 minutes to make lunch. I had a friend last night. He went to go get dinner and ended up in a 5,000 person queue and missed the instances that we were running. The one benefit of the queue is that it at least makes you go do something else instead of getting sucked into WoW for countless hours, but on the other side of that, conversely, it makes you hyper-focused on trying to stay in, and then once you're in, accomplishing as much as possible because of all that time you lost in queue. You may do that because your progress is hindered. If life gets in the way, or your computer or game crashes, and you're not able to reboot or reload the game fast enough to avoid being put back in the queue. This has happened to me as well. All that considered, and the 2 hours that you had to play that night maybe, just thrown down the tube. Because of the queue. Because life happened. That's kind of ridiculous when you're paying to play a game and you can't play it. And at that point, you kind of have the option. Do we move so that I can play the game when I want? Or do I just stop playing the game? Stop paying the money? The bottom line is this queue appears to be unrelenting and is really impractical for real life and hinders the primary reason why I and so many others are playing WoWClassic. Primary reason why I'm playing this game is to play with friends. Switching to a lower populated server is attractive, so that we can immediately get in the game and play whatever we want. We can go make food, go get food, and actually sustain our being without having to worry about the fact that we may not be able to get to play with our friends, which is attributing to, making our mental health better. So I'm weighing the pros and cons. Some of the risks associated with moving the server. Arcanite Reaper, the server that we're allowed to move to, has just recently reached medium status. With the assumed attrition, it has a higher probability of becoming a dead server than White Main. Now, this is all kind of speculation because we can't predict the future to a certain degree, and we can really only make decisions based on what's happened on the past and any sort of information that Blizzard has given us as to what they plan on for the future. 2. Arcanite Reaper may not have as many opportunities for PvP, Battlegrounds, or World due to those lower populations. 3. It would require everyone coordinating to move their character, which may or may not happen. The risks of not switching servers. 1. Like I mentioned, we know that the free character transfer will go away as of Monday, but we're not sure if it's going to come back. So we're not sure if it's going to leave us permanently on a full server if the attrition doesn't happen. When Blizzard attempts to remove layering, it caused severe unanticipated load to the servers, and we experience the worst performance possible until they hopefully ante up and upgrade the servers and bandwidth available. 3. World PvP event bosses may become so crowded due to population that it might make even the beefiest machine have difficulty rendering hundreds to thousands of individual players on your screen. Even simply preparing outside for like Onyxia or heading into Molten Core could be an absolute shit show, causing preparations for raids to take even longer than the actual raid content and may be unplayable, especially if you can't dedicate enough time to it, essentially making endgame unachievable for you. The experience of Scarlet Monastery the other day made me think of that, because there were so many horde just sitting outside the instance. We died a few times trying to get into it. It was so overloaded in that area, even with layering. And here are the benefits. 1. No queue to play, meaning we can play with friends on demand, our number one reason for playing. 2. Questing will have less interruptions due to less population, meaning less probability of getting ganked and less chance of having to fight for resources for the same quests. 3. Less worries about Blizzard messing up, so we can just play. Removing layering is still a big unknown, but based on previous Blizzard performance, we can guesstimate implementation will be abysmal. 4. No worries about having to queue hours ahead of time to hopefully have the queue pop when you finally have time to play. No need to leave your computer on with TeamViewer installed before you go to work, saving electricity. No anxiety about going to get food or going to the gym in fear of getting knocked out of the queue. No need to have that oscillating fan jump for you while you're away, which doesn't even seem to work anymore, honestly. Number 6, no anxiety to go overboard when you finally get in to make up for all that time in queue, because you aren't wasting time sitting in queue that you had designated to play games. And lastly, I conclude with questions, because I'm still analyzing this situation myself, and I'm still getting results for my survey. And as of the time of me recording this, I have 6 responses, with 83% yes, let's move. I'm still analyzing and wishing Blizzard would be more forthcoming with their solutions and their plans, or at least some hard numbers instead of these abstracted descriptions of metrics, like low, medium, high, full. You don't really know what that means, and we can guess what it's gonna actually have an effect on future gameplay. So, how long do we wait for the queue to go away if we stay on Whitemane? Will it ever go away? Is everyone being stubborn and not willing to transfer because of the same fears that we have? And people they're not willing to transfer because their friends already got split up at launch because not everyone could get in. And now they don't want to split up the group that is there. And the free character transfer doesn't even solve the problem of not being able to play with friends because you have to go on one server. And some of our friends have already gone off onto other servers. So that doesn't even solve our problem. It just solves our immediate problem of being able to actually get in and play. We're adults. We have lives. Games aren't our lives. So what is the best decision here? We'll see. And I have more thoughts on that, as I've, to a certain degree, already have made a decision. But I'm going to allow this survey to run the day, and then I'll record a little conclusion. Thanks for listening.